Borderlands 4 comes out this week and there's a lot to unpack, so let's get straight into it. It releases September 12th on PC, Xbox and PlayStation for a price of $70, and it will also release on Nintendo Switch 2 on October 3rd, so if you're looking forward to playing on Switch, you're gonna have to wait a couple more weeks. Now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, you should know everybody loved Borderlands 1 and 2, but a lot of people didn't really appreciate the third game in the franchise. I wonder why, Claptrap. So now with the fourth game on the way, it looks like they listened to a lot of the criticism and tried to make Borderlands 4 appeal to the old school fans of the franchise. How did they do that, I hear you ask? Well, first of all, there's a different approach to the storytelling. Borderlands 4 will have a more serious approach after the criticism the third game got, and I would say that was well-deserved criticism because of the frankly awful writing and dumb jokes that made the actual story feel like a secondary thing throughout the game. I have no issues with dumb jokes. My favorite series is Rick and Morty, so I'm all about the dumb jokes, but in this case they actually made the story feel like a secondary thing throughout the game, and that's not something that you want to do. This time around the story will be told in a more serious way, but the classic Borderlands goofy humor will still be there. Obviously they're not changing the series identity here, they're just toning it back a little after going way overboard on the last game. But it's nice to see that they are actually responding to the criticism and changing things up a bit. They're also changing the vaults. Now wait there, put down your pitchforks. Vaults are obviously still a thing. How would a Borderlands game even work without vaults? They've literally been in every game in the franchise, so I guess it's no surprise that they will also be featured in the fourth game. But that being said, it's important to mention that they are transforming vaults into side activities that you can just find around the 4 different open worlds. How will that change the approach of the storytelling? It might be too early to say, but let's hope this change doesn't alienate players because their track record isn't spotless. I'm looking at you, Borderlands 3. The fourth installment in the franchise will be structured into 4 huge open worlds instead of the dozen smallish environments, so this can help make the exploration feel more organic and immerse the player into the world of the game. At least that's the idea behind it. We'll have to see if they actually pull it off. And in order to navigate these massive areas that should be a lot bigger than anything we've seen before in a Borderlands game, the catch-a-ride stations from previous games have been replaced with a new vehicle called the Digi-Runner, and it looks like you can spawn it whenever you want to and drive across the map. This change actually feels like a huge leap forward in terms of exploration and immersion, and I just hope that it handles well, because the basic idea is really good. It's like calling Roach in The Witcher 3, and you can get around the map much faster on horseback. It's the same idea but in Borderlands, so it should be a good thing as long as the vehicle handles well, but we'll just have to wait and see for that. The developers also thought you might feel lonely in this huge open world, so they'll give you a companion. Echo 4 will be there to help with exploration. This is your new robot buddy that will find things around the map for you, hack terminals, and basically do a lot of the busy work for you as you explore. And I don't really know why, but it reminds me of BD-1 from the Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor games. I loved BD-1 as a companion, so the fact that Echo 4 reminds me of him so much is definitely a plus. That's why I really look forward to having a companion around the Borderlands 4 maps, and hopefully he's not annoying at all. Looking at you, Claptrap. Speaking of Claptrap, there will be a Claptrap volume slider. Yes, finally you will be able to turn the volume down or even all the way down, specifically just for Claptrap's dialogue. If you don't know who he is, you've definitely not been subjected to the disturbing Borderlands 3 Claptrap or not even seen all the memes about him online. Seriously now, are you living under a rock? I'm obviously just kidding, but in all seriousness, this is something the last game desperately needed, because Claptrap was a pain to listen to. I hope they also make him less annoying this time around, but at the very least you can turn his volume down, so that's a win in my book. There will also be dynamic weather and events, which should add a bit more to the immersion, especially considering the bigger open worlds, and we'll also get 4 new Vault Hunters with different abilities, skill trees, strengths and weaknesses, and this is typical for a Borderlands game, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now we need to talk about the quests. Most quests can be completed in any order. In my opinion, this can be very hit or miss in games like this. I really enjoyed the way they did it in Assassin's Creed Shadows, which released earlier this year, but I personally don't always enjoy that in games. However, if they did it right and everything feels like it ties together organically, that should be a big step forward for the immersion. But it remains to be seen how they actually implement it in the game. Another new thing they added is you can now replay missions. This is something that you couldn't do in past games, but a lot of people wanted to do it, so now you can. This can be very cool if you really enjoyed a certain mission and want to go through it again, again, or if you just want to grind out some specific loot. And by the way, speaking of loot, they also revamped the loot system, making rarer loot a lot harder to find. I know that would sound like a bad thing in basically any other game franchise, but for Borderlands this is actually a positive change. A lot of people complained about the fact that it was just way too easy to get legendary items in the game, so now they've toned that down, making the really cool and rare items tougher to get and essentially making it feel like an actual reward when you do get one. And on top of that, legendary weapons won't just be better versions of the other guns, they will actually have unique abilities and other surprises waiting for you. So it sounds like getting a legendary weapons in Borderlands 4 will feel like a much bigger achievement than in past games. And it's very good considering that the whole franchise is all about the loot. Apart from all of that, Borderlands 4 already has some post-launch updates planned. They said they'll release multiple free updates and also paid DLCs in the upcoming years. So it sounds like they're pretty confident in the game they've built and are already looking forward to adding more things to it. I always love to see a confident developer, as long as they're not too overconfident and end up screwing it up. But I'm curious to see what you think about Borderlands 4. Do you think they changed enough? Do you think this will be yet another disaster like the last game? Will you buy it on release? Let me know in the comment section below and make sure to subscribe for more gaming news. I've been GamesForLife and I'll see you next time. Bye!